Let's see here. Hello world. Huh. Okay. Welcome to my blog. Here is where I put a whole lot of stuff regarding my favorite thing, math. Huh. Geek. If you want to see some of my work, just hop on over to the Math Bids tab. See you there. I'm gonna go head over there and see what he's got. Maybe it's something juicy. Math vids. I like making videos to teach my classes, so here they are. The videos, not the classes. They can't put students on personal blogs. Well, I wouldn't think so. Goodness. Oh no. There's a third one. Oh my. Well, can't be worse than the other two. Let's do it. Mr. Jones Math Vids.
Hello, Internet. It is I, Jeffrey Jones, but you can just call me Mr. Jones. This will be another math video, which is my favorite thing, about solving radical equations and inequalities. Yep, we gonna go through all that stuff today. Now, it may seem like a lot of work and a headache and all that stuff, but to be honest, all of this stuff is very simple, especially compared to the other stuff within this unit. Alrighty, so let's get down to business. Since I'm not in my classroom, I will not have a whiteboard behind me, obviously, because there is no whiteboard. Look, see? No whiteboard. But see, that's why I am going to have floating numbers and signs and all that fun stuff around me. Around me. Because that is how we do on the interwebs. Alrighty. So what is a radical equation? Well, radical equations include radical expressions. Now that we know what they are, how do we solve radical equations? To solve a radical equation, you must first isolate the radical on one side of the equation. That is step 1. Step 2. You will raise each side of the equation to a power equal to the index of the radical to eliminate the radical. And step 3. Solve the resulting polynomial equation and check your results. Let's try an example. The square root of x minus 2 equals 2 minus the square root of x. So, first, we got to put parentheses around those two things on the opposite sides of the equation. Like so. And then, once we do that, we will square all those things. You know, within the parentheses, not without. That's not good. So, next we will have the next line of the equation, since we're working it out, would be x minus 12 equals, in parentheses, 2 minus the square root of x times 2 minus the square root of x. Now, in case you didn't notice, the reason that we put a parentheses around them was to get the square root sign off of the left side of the equation, because we don't like that. That doesn't make our job any easier than it already is, because it's already hard. Yeah, already. No use. So we will then multiply, each equation, how we do that, blah, 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 blah. And the next line would be x minus 12 equals 4 minus 2 times the square root of x minus 2 times the square root of x plus 2 plus, not 2, plus the square root of x squared. This then rounds out to being 4. This then rounds out to being x minus 12 equals 4 minus 4 times the square root of x plus x. So now you just got to figure it out and add 12 to both sides, figure all this stuff out, and you'll get x equals 16 minus 4 times the square root of x minus x. Then when you simplify that, you get 0 equals 6 minus 4 times the square root of x. You will then subtract 16 from both sides, leaving you with negative 16 equals negative 4 times the square root of x. You then put parentheses around the 2 and square them, which then gets you x equals 16. Isn't that great how it works? So great. You then plug in that value for x into the equation and figure it out, which will end up getting you 2 equals negative 2, which does not work because that makes no sense. This is not absolute value. This is just regular 2 equals negative 2. So, instead of putting an answer like that, we put no extraneous solution. That is how we do. You will just do another example on your own and try it out for yourself. Just look over yonder. A radical inequality has a variable in the radicand, and that's what makes it a radical inequality. You have 3 steps. Number 1. If the index of the root is even, identify the values of the variable for which the radicand is non-negative. Step 2. Solve the inequality algebraically, because you're in Algebra 2, obviously. Step number 3. Test values to check your solution. Okay, let's go. 3 plus the square root of 5x minus 10 is less than 8.
So less than or equal to
3 plus the square root of 5x minus 10 is less than or equal to 8. There's a loose number in the 3 in the first part of the equation. So we just minus 3 from both sides, and we will get the square root of 5x minus 10 is less than or equal to 5. Now, we need to get away that square root because that bugs me, and I don't like that. So, we put in parentheses the both sides, and we square them, leaving us with 5x minus 10 is less than or equal to 25. Now we have another loose number on the first part of the equation, the minus 10. So, we add the 10 to both sides, giving us 5x is less than or equal to 35. Wow, see how we got that? Now, we will have to divide the entire equation by 5, giving us x is less than or equal to 7. Now, the second part of the equation, 5x minus 10, is greater than or equal to 0. The loose part on the first part is minus 10. So, we have to add 10 to both sides, giving us 5x is greater than or equal to 10. Divide that by 5, and you get x is greater than or equal to 2. X is somewhere between 2 and 7, or so the equations say. We need to test 3 values. Let's try out 3. You'll notice that when figured out, 3 works completely and is within the parameters. So, it all makes sense. Well, that's it for today's lesson. I hope you learned something, and if you didn't, feel free to rewind this lesson And if that still doesn't work, feel free to look up anything that you need to know about this. There are plenty of sources to help you learn it, so if you don't get it at first, don't feel bad. You'll get it. Just keep trying, and that's why I do these videos, so that way you guys can learn and make better life decisions than I did. Don't become a teacher, kids. So stay in school, learn good, and always achieve your dreams. Live on.
Well, I was wrong. I guess it can be, worse than the other two. I'm done. I'm done. Yeah.